screaming. It's a punk
not
band.
really screaming. It's Keith.
All right.
We love Keith.
We
Singing.
go.
Hello and welcome to Bras, Bitches and Balls. It's the first show of the new year. This is Nick. Today we have Kathy and Rachel who will be joining us. And as always, we have Lisa. And here's Lee.
Hi, welcome back. 2018.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Yeah.
That thing.
I kind of like 8. I'm very happy with the number 8. It's the shape of it. I've always loved the number 8. It's just beautiful, you know. It's very hourglassy.
It's very Willendorf. it's nice.
Well,
It's very voluptuous.
It's very
Yes.
voluptuous, and if you turn it sideways, it's an infinity symbol, right? And it was August, so
and
that's my birthday,
There
and
we
my
go.
brother's.
Lee's Leo.
Yeah, I'm a Leo. My brother and I are born on the same day, and then our nephew was born on that day also. So we're 10 years apart, and then 27 years apart. And
Wow.
my mother got married over the weekend. She's 81.
Congratulations.
It is the most beautiful story, sweet. They were high school sweethearts. They separated when they moved apart. They'd been together for 3 years. They married other people. Each had 2 girls and a boy. All were born in August except for one. And he didn't come to the wedding. I know. No, he was. I have not met him.
Well, he's not an August child,
Really,
so he's
the
shunned.
outlier.
I've
right?
not exactly. I've not met my new stepbrother. But they're both 81 years old, and they became widowed at about the same time. And he called her and said, "I still love you." Oh, it's beautiful.
Oh, my
And she said, "You know, Raymond, there's going to be women coming around with casseroles. Take those casseroles." I'm like, I only want your casserole. So they got married. They lived in sin for 6 months or so, and now they're married. And it was the most beautiful ceremony. My father's nieces and nephews came to the wedding.
Nice.
His side of the family. It was just, it was gorgeous. Anyway, so we talked about the number 8, and I was just so excited that 2018 is here. We made it through 2017. Yep.
Yeah, we did.
1 year down.
Let's,
All right, let's
yes.
talk bras. Talk about some boobs.
So the new bra of the new year. It's very pink. So Lee's gonna put it over on camera now. So this is a new one. You said it just arrived.
They did. So this is a bra by Freya. She has a nice plunge to her. She has a balconette. She's going to bring you forward and uplift you. It's got the 3 parts and a really nice elastic lace on the top. So that's going to help take away that quad boob look that we all see, I'm sure, over the holidays. We saw our relatives and wished that they could come to Busted. So Busted Bra Shop is the sponsor of the show, for one of the sponsors of the show, I think. And we want to make sure that we always highlight the bras in the beginning. But come on down. We've got this in every size right now offered by Freya. So you're going to start in the 28 band and go up around the 38 band. We also got in a new bra yesterday. It's our most popular bra by Goddess, and it's in cinnamon, which is
Dark red.
No, it's in the Browns family.
Ooh.
So it's gorgeous. So I wanted to bring this mannequin today too because I'm in love with these leggings. They're shiny and fun and have a little tummy control.
Nice.
Yeah. And so these are by a company called Commando. Spanx. This is by Spanx. But they're in, and they go up to a 2X. But they're soft and shimmery. They have a little texture. I don't know if you can see the texture, but they're
In the
love
right
them.
light, they kind of look a bit pleathery,
They
so
do.
which is
Yes, they
which
do.
is a good look
They
if
do.
that's the look you're looking for.
There
so
you go. You can see the shimmer. So if you tend to wear all black, which I struggled not to do today, I was like, I'm not going to do it. then this could be a nice different texture to layer with that black. So
Right.
I always say if you're going to wear all black, change your textures, and that way it really doesn't matter. But in the long run, it really doesn't matter. Wear the fuck what you want. Okay,
So with the Freya, that hot pink, that's one of the fashion colors.
this is a fashion color. So once it's sold, it's sold.
gone.
It's not something that we can reorder. So if you like hot pink, you want something hot pink in your lingerie wardrobe, please come by and check this out.
Ooh,
Look
these
at the
straps
back.
are interesting.
Okay, that's my ribbon from Busted because we're trying to be cute. All right, so this is a cage back, and the elastics are really, really soft back here. When you wear your bra, don't look at the mannequin as an example for how it should go on because she's not real, if you didn't know. But you want this thing to be parallel to the floor. That's a big indicator of whether your bra fits or not. The band has to be tight enough to be parallel to the floor. People keep saying, "Oh, I'm not back fat." I'm sorry, you're alive. That's flesh. It's not back fat. It's just your back. Your boobs are the important part. Women are important. Our boobs are important. Please take care of your breast. Give them the support they need, but also you can do it cutely. Cutely! That's my new word for 2018. But yeah, I love it. Come by and see us. We'll fit you. We're going to leave her standing right there. Have any questions? Anybody?
She has excellent posture.
Doesn't she?
She really does,
She
yeah.
really does.
They call her a Brazilian mannequin. I was like, okay.
What, because she's thin and
'Cause-
tall?
Because, well, they think that that's a large-breasted
In Brazil?
here. If, you know, the manufacturer's like, well, she's got a tiny rib cage and big boobs. I was like, they're only E's.
Yeah, those are not
really?
big.
They're not, okay, great. She's like 30E. So come and see me. We got him. Busted Bra Shop, Midtown Detroit. All
Could do
right.
a little weird science thing and make her alive.
Oh, she's alive. Lively did make a computer over the holiday. So,
no.
yeah, he made a Piper computer.
Her son's 10.
Did. Yeah.
So I have something before we introduce our guests.
Okay.
Because I want to talk about, in the future, I want to talk about this website. It's a Twitter feed and website a little bit more. But I just happened to notice that one of the people we follow on Twitter mentioned that there's a virtual historical lingerie conference happening this Friday, courtesy of the Underpinnings Museum.
Oh, my goodness.
The Underpinnings Museum is an online museum of historical lingerie. So I looked at the list of people who are speaking and the topics.
Yes.
The topics. So this is on Friday. All the times are Greenwich Mean Time, so whatever the fuck that means. But the titles: Boudoir Caps and Zeppelin Nighties, How Fashionable Women Dressed for Air Raids in the First World War.
Beautiful.
Oh, die pretty.
The Big Sell, Men's Underwear Advertising in the Early 20th Century. The Walls of Jericho, Dressing for the Bedroom during the 1930s and 1940s. A more depressing
Wait,
one,
wait.
Auschwitz and Underwear, The Humanizing Power of Clothes.
The Walls of Jericho.
Women and Corsets in Toronto, 1870 to 1914.
There's a reason we're not in corsets anymore.
Hold On and Suck In, 20th Century Views of the 19th Century Corset. And a brief introduction or archives, Lingerie to Z. So this is with the Underpinnings Museum, and when I mentioned that I thought this was really cool, they said, "Hey, when you talk about us on your podcast, let us know." I have not done that, but I would love to get somebody who does lingerie pattern making and things like that, and do a little thing where we talked to that person and talked about the Underpinnings Museum in a little bit more detail. But if you are interested in lingerie history, check out the Underpinnings Museum. They're at the UP Museum on Twitter on Friday, and
I
you can
have
hear
to think
people
that
speaking
turns up with a
about.
whole bunch of people coming to that for entirely different reasons.
Right, probably.
I
But
was
anyway,
here
I thought it was
looking for
fascinating.
pasty history. Why are there not?
What are we talking about?
But that's really brilliant too. The idea of underpinnings on what's under you. What are you wearing? That's kind of like, and we'll get back to that when we talk about the Glitter King. But it's literally a foundation. That's why they call them foundation
Right.
garments,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
But it's your foundation, and you know what's going on inside, and maybe not everybody else
that's
knows.
true.
But you
Right.
know.
So yeah. So anyway, with that, if you want to,
I'm very excited.
I am too, because I didn't know anything. I usually do a little bit of research. I didn't do a whole lot of research this week, but Lee did. So she was telling me all about Kathy.
I'm so fascinated.
And I'm so
with you right
excited.
now.
So you tell us, because I know nothing except the Glitter King.
Well, I'm excited about the Glitter King. I'm very excited about the Glitter King. And
So do you want to introduce Kathy and who she is? Like her whole name? I don't.
Kathy Kosha.
Kathy Kosha. Okay, Kathy.
Kathy Kosha sitting beside me.
Kathy Kosha. Okay.
I was.
Hi, Kathy.
This is Kathy.
This is Lisa.
And this is
So,
Rachel.
Hi, Rachel.
there's so many things about you that I was just, there wasn't enough time for me to read everything because it would probably take me 3 years. And I want to read Under the Poppy. That right now I'm.
You will like it a lot. You will
I'm
like
very
it, and there is a lot of underpinning in Under the Poppy. There's also a lot of corsets. There's a lot of boobs. There's a lot of dresses. Signifier. You will like it a lot.
Sold.
Yep.
Yeah, very much. But historical fiction. I love historical fiction, and apparently you do too.
I do.
Which is exciting to me. And hopefully everyone will give her a Google because you'll come up with so many different titles and so many different
Look me
genres.
up.
Look her up.
Yeah.
I started writing to some of my friends who write horror and saying she won the Bram Stoker Award, and so hopefully we'll get you some even more fans from around the world. SP. I sent something to SP
Oh, cool.
Mikowski. Yeah.
Oh, we're Facebook friends.
You are?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, well, her husband, Corey Herndon, and I knew each other when he was a teenager. Brilliant
fun.
man. And I knew we were in college. He graduated from high school at like 15 and went on to be a theater major. And I knew him up in Washington State. And just, I've been in love with Corey for decades. And then he married SP, who also has a Southern accent.
Coincidence?
Fascinating.
I don't
think
think so.
Oh, yeah.
So Kathy, tell me. Well, first of all, you have an event coming up, which I knew about, the Glitter King. Could you tell us about what's going on next? I saw it's one night only.
I would love to tell you about Glitter King. And joining me is Rachel Harbert, who has one of the pivotal roles in Glitter King. And Glitter King is an adaptation of Christopher Marlowe's play, Edward II. It was his last play and in many ways his most controversial play. And the basic story is Edward the King, his father, who was kind of a hard ass, banned Gaveston, Edward's friend, boyfriend, lover, from the kingdom and said, no more boyfriend for you. Father died. Edward said, come back from exile, Gaveston. So in our retelling, Glitter King is Edward's party at a punk bar to welcome his true love back. This is not welcome news to Queen Isabella, who not super happy with the boyfriend thing, or to the character that Rachel plays, Roger Mortimer, who is the leading baron of the realm and had sworn to the dead old king, never will this son of a bitch cross these shores again.
Oh,
but
so he's like violating his oath to dead
he's
Edward.
like, what even? I knew this, and I don't think it takes Mortimer by surprise that Gaveston shows up.
No.
Not even a little bit. But
Yeah.
he's ready.
He knows and he's ready.
Yeah.
He knows and he's ready. So when people come to the event, and we'll talk more about the venue in a second, when they come to the event, they're walking into this party for Gaveston that Edward is throwing, and he wants everybody to be happy because his boyfriend is back in town. And his boyfriend, I think it is safe to say, is kind of a troublemaker. Gaveston is not just
Oh yeah.
not just there to
Yeah.
have fun.
Gaveston's a bad boy.
He's a very bad boy in many ways.
Gaveston was a kind of cancer, to be honest.
I think it's very
wasn't-
strong. I think it's a very strong statement.
Well, he was, but like in history, I mean, the reason why Gaveston was, there were many reasons why Gaveston was disliked, but I think one of them was that Gaveston knew how popular he was with the king, and
Just a
you
little.
know, and
Milk that shit.
exactly,
But
exactly.
isn't that's human nature, isn't it?
Oh, no, it
when
is,
You're,
it
when
is,
you're
but-
when you affect someone in power.
Yeah.
And this was what
It's the route to power,
1500s,
right.
late 1500s,
Right.
It's the route to power.
but he,
and
but-
survival.
yeah,
survival.
but he didn't do other things for survival. Like he was like, well, I have the king. I don't need y'all.
And we work on that
So-
theme. Who has power? The meta idea behind this show is who has power? How do you get it? How do you
Yeah.
keep it? What's it for? And the warring idea between power and freedom, because this play has been staged many times. There's a very famous Derek Jarman film, very much a queer Edward II, looking at queer issues in like 1980s Britain. And
Yeah.
what we're doing is looking at the idea of freedom. And it isn't only that, that awful Mortimer and Isabella, they're trying to harsh true love and whatever. There's some of that, but there's also the idea of freedom being a responsibility as well. If you're going to live a free life, you also have to consider other people's boundaries and bodies. And to be free does not also give you the freedom to, grab someone by the pussy, let's say.
Right, exactly.
That freedom ends where someone else's boundaries begin. So
Right.
the idea is where in society, in any society, where do you draw that line? Where's freedom? Where's power? Power draws the line, but does it draw the line in the right place? And that makes it sound like a super serious show filled with serious
It's not serious.
ideas.
It is a little bit.
It's a little bit serious, but it's also, we want people to come and we're inviting all our patrons to come dressed either in glitter punk couture, or to dress in high formal, to dress couture, because the court is a very serious court, very, very beautiful, very austere, very elegant court. So
are the guests essentially the courtesans who are kind of watching this drama play out?
the guests are right. They're in the club for this party, and when you enter the club, your hand will be stamped with either lion for the Lion of England for the court, or a wing for Galveston. So, but that will be at our discretion. We will decide who gets what stamp.
How many
Separate
seats do you have? How many tickets are there available?
It is a limited production, and we are limited by the size of our venue. We are in the very wonderful, and not limiting at all, but in the very wonderful Gallery Grand on River. And if you have not been there, I suggest everybody put this on your radar. It's a fabulous space that used to be a bank. And Bruno owns it now and has made it into, there are some, I'm making hand gestures because I'm trying to indicate that in the adjacent building there are some artisan people and a band, and they're in the space as well. But in the gallery space, Bruno has different, I'm sorry, I know I'm not, it's too much wavy. Bruno has different events in the space, and we're fortunate enough to be one of them. So because the club, like all good clubs, is small, we can only have so many people, and it is a one-night only event. It is February 17th. We sincerely suggest you get your tickets now. It will sell out, and we don't want you to be left out of the club.
And how much are the tickets?
Tickets are $50.
Okay.
Tickets are $50, and the installation itself will be available for the week afterwards if people want to tour the installation and see where everything we do kind of ends up looking like a crime scene afterwards.
Always.
So we do invite people to come and enjoy the installation afterwards as well. We will be having some students from Wayne State University come in and do some improv dance work in the space.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that.
So, Rachel, this sounds like this is not your first experience with Kathy's Productions.
No, this is.
A lot.
I've done quite a
Fifth or
few.
sixth,
Quite a
I
few.
think.
Has it been
Yeah,
6?
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, I think so.
Time.
So, are you a local actor, or
I'm actually
what's
a
your experience?
dancer.
Oh, okay.
I started with dance. I studied dance at Wayne State, and I was performing at a gallery with my friend Marianne, who is Galveston.
She's a very good Galveston.
But Kathy was there at the show and kind of came over and stalked us a little bit, as she does with all of us. But
Right.
yeah, it was one of the best things to happen for me.
And Rachel is a very rigorous and intuitive performer. And we have worked together on the shows that I've produced with my production company, Louder Milk Productions, and in commissioned events. We have a commissioning patron who every year has us come to an event that he puts on in the summer, and this is always in the grounds of their home. They have these amazing 3-story folly structures, and every year we create an event for his midsummer party. And last year it was the Bauhaus, so everyone was robots, and we had some,
That felt things.
yeah,
We felt sometimes, at times,
and
Like you had feelings. You weren't going around touching stuff.
both.
Okay, I like it.
Oh yeah.
yes, they were robots that felt things, and
Scary.
people are allowed, just like in our shows, it's happening in the midst of this thing, so you're allowed to and invited to interact with the characters. And this year coming up, we are based on Barcelona and Gaudi, and so
okay.
that's what we're working on. It's very early stages, but that will be in July. So
Wow.
yeah, once we're done fucking around in the punk club, then we're going to go play outside.
So you are an author and have a production company.
It's true.
So you sleep never?
A little bit. Well, I find that it's very, they're very much the same because they're about telling stories. And everything that we're trying to do with these productions that is the same thing that I'm trying to do with my books, is draw people into the story so you can feel it, so you feel as if it's happening to you. And we have had, I would say, a great amount of success with people at the productions being willing to play along with what we're
Yeah.
doing.
Sometimes we have to pull them or force them, but then once that line crosses, then it's just
And there
really
have been
fun.
times too that I'm thinking of. We did a production of Alice in Wonderland, and in that Rachel was the Red Queen, and everyone was really afraid of Rachel.
it's not always the bad
Terrifying.
one.
She's
But usually.
she's
But if
very
you can-
powerful.
If you can play the negative aspect on stage, I mean that's the meat of it. That's fun. That's got personality that you can really shine. So my dad always said, play the bitch.
Yeah.
Do it. Play the bitch. It's much more fun than being the ingenue.
Well, when Marianne Brass, who is Galveston and was playing a character, was playing the Tweedle in Alice, and in our production, there were not Tweedledum and Tweedledee. There was only one Tweedle, and so our Tweedle was psychotically lonely and friendly, and she was stuck
Yeah.
in this little room, and she was desperate for friends to come in and play with her. And after a certain point, she and the Red Queen crossed paths.
I actually found Marianne probably the scariest thing in that production because she is preternaturally strong. I mean,
She's
she
very strong.
is really, because she's a very slight girl, really, but she's
She's a very powerful
amazingly
person.
powerful.
I'm just sad that I missed
Yeah.
this.
I
How do
know.
we find out about your productions? Because this, one, I
She
like
has-
the idea that like
She has
I
her
like-
own website.
And
Yeah,
you
tell
can
us about
find this
And she
event on
blogs.
Facebook as well. If you look for Glitter King, or Nerve is the name of our ensemble, and
Okay.
you can find us on Facebook. And you can also go to my website, kathykoja.com.
And it's KATHEKOJA.com.
Yes,
And you have a blog there as well.
I do have a blog there.
So that we can really get into your mind a little bit, which is a fun place to be. Lots of twists and turns. You are an award-winning, very well-published author and performer, and you're in Detroit, and you've been here for a long time. And I just want to say thank you for being a local artist that shines. I mean, you could go anywhere and be brilliant anywhere, but you choose to stay here, and I think that's phenomenal and fantastic. And this is such a creative, fun, crazy place to be. I've been touring around South, as I mentioned earlier, and a lot of my artist friends, I'm like, you just have to come to Detroit and see, and you'll see the artistry. You'll see it in the streets. You'll see it in the buildings. You'll see it inside and on people's bodies, and it's everywhere if you just open up. So the artists, I'd like to celebrate and say thank you.
Well, I have found that the performers and it's so much more than just, I think it does Rachel a disservice to say a performer. Rachel is integral to the creation of the show, and all the people who are working on Glitter King, and I will plug a few of them now. Sfumato Fragrances has created, and I wish we could have smell-o-vision for all of you. I brought the smells for you guys to smell, but they have created, Kevin Peterson has made fragrances just for the cast to wear. So the court will have one scent,
nice.
And the punks will have a different scent, and then there will be an ambient smell in the club itself. So kind of like that sort of clove cigarette, dead beer, crappy, weird, crazy
I know that smell.
Oh, yeah. We all know that smell, right?
That
And
smell.
so Sfumato, who now in fact has a brick and mortar store in the city, they have created these scents for us. And the Divine Iguana is our installation artist. Rena Hopkins is creating the installation for the club itself, and the costumes and the look and feel of the show. And the performers are, from the very beginning, have been, we take the script, I adapt whatever we're using, whatever story we're using, and we all sit down together and start figuring out, how is this going to work? What are we going to do? Where are the movements? How do we tell the story? What do we need to get the story told?
And really, your audience is the thing that is the unknown.
Absolutely.
So you guys have to be very flexible and know who you are in this. So that's going to be exciting.
And know where to draw the line, too, because the reason that I brought up the Tweedle, when Rachel kills Marianne in that production and murders this Tweedle, okay, and leaves her dead on the couch.
Headless?
No.
Oh.
Well, no,
It's hard to do that.
she's a real person.
It would be difficult to do.
She's a real person. So, yeah, no, we can't.
I mean, there's immersion, and then there's, actual
there's murder.
homicide.
Then there's murder, right? We
We
do not endorse murder. Okay, we're not about that. But the way people reacted to that, and that speaks directly to, it was a wild card. We had no idea what people were going to do. And so here's Marianne dead on this couch in the hallway, and we were trying to direct people. The White Rabbit was like, okay, nothing to see here. Let's move on. And as people moved past Marianne, they touched her as if it was a corpse at a wake. It was extraordinary. And they did it completely spontaneously, but just that, the hand, and passing by her on the couch, it just raised the hair on the back of your neck to watch. And yeah, we never know what people are going to do.
So
that's
Rachel, is
kinda
that
great.
scary when you first started performing in this kind of theater to not know? Because I mean, normally you are on the stage and you have the audience and there's a wall, and I think as a potential viewer, this is a really cool concept to actually be able to kind of be part of the story. But as a performer, I would think that creates this sort of, oh my God, what's going to happen? How do I normally know what the lines are next, and it's a matter of how do I deliver the line, and it's not a matter of is this person going to be in my way, or are they going to try to interrupt me, or those kinds of things.
I'm getting excited right now thinking about it. Actually, I started with dance as an improviser. Improvisation was always my number one thing to do. So as I started training technically as a dancer, it just that's just not the type of dancer I am. So that wall that you're talking about makes me feel very lonely. So breaking that wall, and that's why I like meeting her. We were starting, because Marianne and I work a lot together, and Lisa, the queen. But we were starting to go in that direction. But since we met her, it's we don't have to rely on like big dance movement to like say things. And I really like that I can start using my words a little bit more, or like with dance, you don't always see like the face moving or like tiny gestures that can say everything just in like the way that you touch someone. So it's way more exciting. Sometimes it makes rehearsals difficult because we'll be working together and we're like, oh, but this whole section is could be like 20 minutes
Right,
longer.
right.
Or like, what if somebody's in my way and we just planned or like choreographed this section, like we're going to have to adapt. So I think over time our process has gotten a little bit more expansive to where we don't feel like we need to fit this mold, because it's not ever going to ever be that way. And then the site is also another big thing about it, is like the people in the site. We are making the performance is happening because of the people and the place that we're in.
Mm-hmm.
Or
And
the
y'all aren't
space that
always
we're
in the same place.
Never.
We're never in the same place twice. Because
Cool.
it asks a lot of the audience too, as Rachel says. It invites a level of immersion that not everyone is comfortable with, and that's cool. Everyone is invited to participate to the level of involvement that they would like. And there are rules in the space, and you don't have to worry. We know where the walls are, and we'll stop you if you get too close to the walls. But you're invited to give as much of yourself to the performance as you would like. And that's where things like the Tweedle stuff comes from. And we've seen that over and over in things that we've done.
It's interesting because you're talking about this. It sounds like the whole Glitter King kind of thing is sort of meta, like because you talked about the freedom and the freedom between the characters, but then you also have the freedom between the audience and audience
Absolutely.
members needing to know, okay, they have freedom. They have more freedom than just sitting in a chair and watching a play.
Well, then we're going to be given a
But-
part, basically.
Yeah,
Yes.
but also, freedom means you don't act like an ass. Like you
Exactly.
interact in a, still in an appropriate way.
And we have seen people at different performances. You can tell when people are not comfortable, or they're not there maybe by choice. They came with a friend or whatever. Or some of them are like,
You just see them like back.
right, they're like,
I just want to be a voyeur.
not even, it's like I'm aggressively not playing along. I'm so not here. I'm in with my arms folded. It's like, okay, that's legit. I mean, you're not going to get out of it what you could, but that's
The
okay
most
too.
fun though.
I think I saw that most in the production of Faustus you did, especially with Lust. When Lust was when Jonathan was walking around and
We did Faustus twice. The first one, the one that Nick is talking about, was at the beautiful church on Cass, the First Unitarian Universalist Church on Cass, and we were fortunate enough to do it in their sanctuary. They invited us to use the sanctuary, and so bringing the devil to church is always pretty rad. And
Unitarians are great.
oh, they were the
Yeah.
best.
They
They were
really are.
just the best.
And that building is
And it's a beautiful.
Fantastic.
it's beautiful, yeah. And that also brings up the other thing, because this Glitter King is not your first go round with a certain playwright.
No, it is not.
Christopher Marlowe is kind of important to you.
He's my secret boyfriend.
I
It's
love
not really a
those.
secret, but no, he's a writer whose work is extremely important to me, and that's why we've done a couple versions of Faustus. The first one was in the church. The last one was last year called Night School, and that was at the Jam Handy, and that also was a one-night production. And the idea behind that was Faustus is, everyone knows the story of Faustus is selling his soul to gain knowledge. So we were thinking, okay, what does it actually take to gain knowledge? And Rachel and Marianne started out in full hazmat wear with rubber gloves and boots and this
Face shield.
Shiny silver, sort of reflective mask.
like a faceless mask.
Horrible.
Yes. And
I didn't look at it because it was on my face. But
it was, the whole idea was you start out being like super defended, and then they created movement to get out of those suits and to get but even then, that wasn't enough. And throughout the rest of the performance, it was about how do you get to a place where you can even learn? Because you think, oh, I've learned all my lessons, but you haven't. And, that was Faustus, too, as you get to the end. And he really has squandered this opportunity. I mean, he sold his soul for nothing. He didn't get anything out of it. So, and Marlowe is really brilliant in taking you to these places that are very dark and very honest. And the same with Glitter King is very honest as well, to talk about freedom, to talk about, because again, you can look at it as if, oh, here's Edward and Gaveston. Why can't they just be let alone to be in love? But they also have other roles to play. Edward is the king, whether he likes it or not. And part of Mortimer's frustration with him is that, be the fucking king. I mean, okay,
It's your
you don't
job.
do your job. Do your job.
Yeah, the responsibility of the crown, right?
Sorry, come on.
Yeah, that's serving more than just yourself.
And
I get
Rachel,
that.
will you talk for a second about working with Jared, who plays Edward?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So Jared is a phenomenal artist. He is playing Edward, and I am Mortimer, just in case you didn't hear any of that. And so Mortimer has been one of the most challenging people I've had to get to know, because there is always control, is always got to be in control. And even when he loses control, he still has control. So it's kind of sad. But with King Edward, he's just kind of going around, doing whatever he wants, like kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like,
He's laissez-faire.
Free spirit.
He's loose.
And he's
wishy-washy.
whatever. Yes.
Yeah,
And all those
he
things.
has no control. I mean, he has power, but without control, and he
Gaveston
won't
Right.
has
exercise his
the
power.
control, yeah.
Gaveston
Yeah,
has all the control over Edward, and the tension between the Mortimer character and the Edward character. There was one point in rehearsal where Rachel and Jared were really struggling together, and her insight was, I want him to move. I mean, he's inert, right? That's what he is. He's inert. He's motionless. He's just sort of sitting there, and Gaveston's doing the things, and the court is doing the things, and the party is happening, and he's just this inert thing. And part of that just drives Mortimer up the fucking wall. Mm-hmm. Do something. You're the king. Do something.
Yeah, so there's an intense moment where I make him do something, but then I'm not going to talk anymore. That's it.
Yeah, don't spoil anything. So that's February 17th, and it's going to involve a costume in itself for the audience members.
Yeah, dress up.
Yeah, so that's
We invited. It's not mandatory. For some people, don't like to do that, and that is fine. It's
You
not
can-
mandatory,
you can
but
dress
it is
up.
invited. You can wear whatever you please, but if you do choose to dress punk or high formal, we would appreciate that. We would welcome that.
And that's really, you're really immersing
getting into the
yourself
spirit,
in the
yeah.
immersive experience.
It'll feel
right?
good.
It will feel good.
this is going to be a different type of dinner theater.
So, yeah, one more question about the production before we talk about your writing is when you guys when you do your rehearsals, do you sometimes bring in like random crowds to kind of see what might happen, or is it just like a typical rehearsal and then whatever happens on the night of the performance happens?
Like on a tech rehearsal, would you actually place people?
Yeah.
We do have a beta night rehearsal where we invite people to come and be the crowd. And because until that happens, as you've said, there's a lot we can't know.
We do that with Opera Moto. I don't know if you're familiar with that group. And we have a Rotary Club that we will 2 nights before the real show, we'll go in as a fundraiser. And watch the show and be their audience. And they have to stop and start and do different things every once in a while. There's not a lot of stopping at that point. You know, they blow through, especially the night before. But yeah, we'll bring in 40, 50 people, sell tickets to it, so that it's an actual fundraiser for Rotary, as well as helps with Opera Moto.
And it's a good way for us to gauge where are the spot, what don't we know about. So we always invite the people to stay afterwards and give us feedback. And
that's cool.
And by feedback, not just like, oh, you guys were awesome. It's like,
This really sucked.
that's
and
what
I
we
you to-
want, right? It's like,
Right.
where
And you
you
want the
understand.
critical commentary,
Where didn't
because that's
it
what's
work for
helpful.
you?
Yeah.
Right. Like this part, I felt like we were pulled out of the situation or whatever.
or I didn't
yeah.
understand, and we do invite a fair amount of. You have to be tolerant in some ways of mystery, because just as in real life, there is no way for you to see everything that happens at this show, because you can't. And that people have asked us, well, why don't you video your stuff? And it's not the same, because even in the commission shows that we do, there is a full video component. We have 3 people shooting dress rehearsal. And even then, though, you get this mass of video, and you still have to decide how to edit it and how
You're
to
still
cut
missing.
it.
You're missing shit all
You're
the
still
time.
missing
Yeah,
shit
I mean,
all the
each
time.
camera is basically just the same as an individual.
Exactly,
So, yeah.
exactly.
Nowadays, because of the cell phone, revolution, nobody wants to be in the moment,
Yes.
and you're really taking away that issue. They have to be in the moment. And I love that. There was no flash photography. I hope y'all are saying everybody has to turn their phones off or to silent or something, or leave them at the front. I don't care.
We have found that people are generally the last show that we really have not had a problem. The Faustus at the church actually was. I did request no photography, no nothing, and somebody did it anyway in the fucking front row.
Oh, people do it anyway in the most inappropriate places.
And then that's the conundrum, too, because you don't want to go to that person and go, fuck off, because then you're destroying the surface tension of the performance, too, by calling attention to that. So it's a really, gray area.
I think it's safe to say that if you do pull out a phone, at least with this and with this show, it's very dangerous. You're not, like, stuff is going to be happening. Like, if you take your...
Use
You're not
at your
paying
own
attention.
risk,
Yes.
okay? We
Like,
are not-
You'll
people
have
are
a
moving
cracked
around,
screen,
like-
or
We're not going to replace your phone, okay? So use
I
it
have
at-
a fish... What is it?
Oh, yeah, the fish bat.
I have a fish bat. I hate cell phones, so...
You've been warned.
Mortimer's character has this really insane red metal baton that we found out, sadly, is called a fish bat, because I guess
I love Rachel's threatening gesture towards
right.
the screen.
it's like, so she...
That was Mortimer.
Mortimer
Yeah.
is
Rachel.
very...
Well, okay, well, yeah.
And Mortimer is very much about controlling the space as well. So, and we should also name our artists who are working with us in this amazing endeavor. Lisa Lamar is Queen Isabella, and Marianne Brass is Gaveston, and
Jared Morin.
Jared Scott Morin.
Jared Scott Morin.
He needs the Scott. So yes, he is Edward. And Ben Willis is our court musician, and Cornelius Harris is our DJ.
Oh, what a fantastic name.
We have a DJ.
I know, right?
Come on.
We have a DJ. We have a DJ, and Cornelius has played all over the world and has amazing stories of the places that he's played and the clubs that he's played in. So he has been our technical advisor because we were thinking when we were making this club, we wanted to be like a punk club, but what kind of a punk club? So we were thinking like a 1980s Berlin sex club, punk club.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's...
You're talking Lee's
Lee's era of Germany. So
Right. Where things were very... And because this show also turns on this axis of chaos, and not to be overly political, but what is at the heart of this show, this idea of freedom and how free is free and who gets to decide, that country really had no leader And that's one of the things that drives Mortimer, because the king has basically, he is not being the king. He is not presiding, let's say, over the country the way that he should. There is no leader. And we have found some thought-provoking parallels in our own country situation and in this idea of being a leaderless country, being in a point of chaos where no one is really sure what will happen next.
Yeah, I think it was one of the first probably the first major constitutional crisis England ever had, which it would then have again with, Edward VIII. And,
Sure.
A lot of Edwards. Edwards are bad.
That's a
kings.
bad luck name. They should just kind of
They just not
retire
do
that.
Did you have an issue with a guy named Cromwell too?
Take time. That wasn't great
bit,
either.
Well, so in February 17th, that's going to be right after Valentine's Day.
Right
Yes.
after Valentine's
Yeah, we have a lot
Day.
of things that are going to be happening going up to Valentine's Day. Right now, we've got Auto Prom happening
Which is the 19th.
the
of
19th of January. That's coming up. So everybody's got to come and get their underpinnings for that. And Peacock Room has some lovely gowns for that
And
as well.
Margot and Max.
Margot and Max, absolutely.
Want to find a previously loved outfit?
Which is always a fun thing to do. I have a couple of those in my closet. I did visit Margot and Max, so you can look at the Facebook Live from last 2 weeks ago.
Weeks ago, right
We
after
haven't
the
been here
last,
for a while.
Yeah, right after the last podcast, you went and did a Facebook
I
Live
did.
with Margot and Max. They're on 7 Mile and Livernois. They're on Livernois.
It's eight.
Sorry. They're
It's
8
between
Mile.
8 and 9 Mile.
They're in
Yeah.
Ferndale, not in Detroit.
Right, they're right over the border. Very, very close. So it's right beside Axel Brewing Company.
Yep. And the Cat Cafe.
What the Cat Cafe?
Cafe.
Cafe.
I can never do that right.
But Auto Prom is a little pricier than Glitter King.
Very much so.
Charity preview tickets are a little out of my league right now.
Right now,
But if you're going, definitely go to Busted for your
it's a
undergarments.
wonderful night. Yeah, it's a wonderful night, and the clothing. People are like, "Well, what do I wear?" Really, at Auto Prom or at the charity preview, they do have haute couture, but I saw some people in some really snazzy. What do you call that outfit that's the shorts and the top connected?
Romper?
A romper. I saw a
rompers.
glitter romper or a
glitter romper.
sequence romper. It was absolutely fantastic. Great, but
So you can see glitter
I
at both
fully
places.
approve of rompers.
it was pretty fantastic.
And people should also consider getting badass bras to wear to Glitter King as well.
Yeah.
I love it. We have corsets. We have a lot of costuming.
I'm
things.
thinking your one that is yours and yours alone that you showed us a few weeks back would be a great thing to wear to Glitter King.
Ooh,
Your Marley Steckers.
it would be.
She has a bra that she will only wear for special occasions because it's a
Ooh.
It's
very
It's a pleather. That one you're talking about,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, they've got
pleather one.
the pleather with the
it's a high end bra.
straps and the big O-rings all through it. Yeah, that was
Dude.
pretty fantastic.
It's fucking awesome.
It's great. I also got from Marley Steckers. Marley Steckers, you can look up also if you Google Marley Steckers. She's a Dutch designer. Phenomenal design, but very not lacy and floral. There's none of that.
She's black and
it's very
stringy and
when I say edgy, I don't mean just like pushing a boundary, but edgy as in there's a lot of straight edges, and I really like that. Very simple silvers, very a few metals, but she also had this pinstripe motif going through quite a few things, and I've got a bodysuit that is the pinstripe with the bra, and then it has the crisscross and the O-rings in the back too.
Oh, dude, you must wear that.
Yes,
You
see if I can-
seriously must.
yes, she's got some amazing stuff.
Because we have a bondage thing. I mean, there's like a bondage thing
It always
going
goes back
on
to
as well.
bondage on this damn show.
Well, that also
Bondage and butterflies,
what-
bondage.
yeah,
bondage
it's control
events.
too. I mean, it is literally about control and
Yeah.
playing out who gets to be. And from many doms will tell you that a lot of the people who
it's the
come
sub.
to be dominated are people who, in their real lives,
Have to control a lot.
they're always about control, and so it's a place where they can theoretically let go. But even then, they're not really.
I don't
letting go
have to
'cause
make
Right.
decisions.
They're paying for it, so
Right.
Right, but like I always say when we discuss this, the thing of the dom is basically the solid foundation which allows the sub to play with.
Oh, for sure.
What they.
Everyone's a power bottom.
Yeah, pretty much.
Let that be our motto
I
going
was going to say
forward,
that's
right?
your that's your motto. Everyone's a power bottom.
Everyone's a power bottom.
So
Well-
before we, I don't know what we're looking at as far as time, but I want to talk about your books because you mentioned. Oh, okay. You mentioned at the beginning when we were talking about underpinnings that you have a trilogy. Is that right?
Yeah, it says the Under the Poppy trilogy, and it is set it begins in a Victorian brothel, and which everyone likes. Those are the words
Everyone
that
loves the brothel.
everyone loves
Well,
Victorian brothel.
As I was reading about the books, because I haven't read the books yet, but I've read snippets of them, the way they described it was that it was a love triangle that wasn't closed because part of the triangle, he really loved his marionettes and puppets.
The love triangle is actually it isn't a triangle because the third person in the triangle sadly really is not part of it, but she would like to be. It's a brother and sister. The brother is a puppeteer, and the sister was kind of like his helper bee, and they grew up together on the streets. And the third person, Rupert, they also all met as kids, as growing up in this wild kind of lawless way. And Istvan, the puppeteer, and Rupert are in love. They've always been in love. They were childhood sweethearts. They're still in love. And Decca, the sister, fell in love with Rupert as well, which is very sad. However, there is a school of thought that says when you specifically fall in love with someone you absolutely know will never love you back, there's a reason you did that. And perhaps the reason might be is that you don't really want that.
Yeah, it's funny
it's a
because
safe
I
thing.
always
It won't-
Very
mentioned
safe.
that about teenagers and like why they have the poster of whoever on the wall. That's their first love, and it's their first love because it's impossible.
It's safe, right.
It's
It's
safe
impossible
because it's
and
never
safe.
going to happen. So you can test out the feelings without having to deal with physical limitations or any other boundaries because it's
Right, or
it's
anything
made up.
scary because it can't.
Well,
it can't work.
Right.
So it's
And
safe.
all around you, people are falling in love, right?
Right.
And so that way you're included.
Right.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, you have lots of things. Cipher is also another one of your.
The Cipher is my
It's a
very
scary
first
one,
novel.
right?
It's very scary. And what's great about that book is that it's had enduring appeal to people because it's about a hole in the floor that goes nowhere.
Was that the original title?
The original title
the
was
fun
The Fun
hole?
Hole, and the publisher felt for
Fun hole that seems
whatever reason that they found this disturbing.
sounds like it might have been a Porky
And in
situation.
some ways, well, evil to them who evil think. So,
Huh, what does that say about you, Lisa?
but the whole idea was here is this kind of shitty, seedy building where these people are kind of living a marginal existence, and they find this hole in the floor of the storeroom, and the one of the main characters, this gal, says, "Well, what if we put something down it?" And they start putting things down it, and the things come back changed in ways that you would not expect and don't like. And
So
she
a
just
Pet
keeps pushing it.
Cemetery-ish kind of.
Just really, and because this is old school, back in the day, all they had was a video camera, and they put that down there, and it comes back with some footage that is very disturbing indeed, and she won't let it go, and he keeps saying, maybe we shouldn't do this, but it's too late. They did it.
So where can we find your books?
You can find everything of mine on Amazon is either there in paper or ebook format. And Christopher Wilde is my latest book. It's about Christopher Marlowe. Big surprise. And actually, it's really interesting to look at Marlowe as a writer he was the precursor to Shakespeare and developed a lot of the ideas that created English drama. And his voice is still so contemporary. In this show that we're doing right now, this is based on his Edward II. It's completely contemporary, and I find that to be true about him as a person and a catalyst. So in that book, we're looking at Marlowe in his own time, transplanted to a kind of like McCarthy's era, 1950s Red Scare time, and to a future that's just a little bit ahead of where we are now. And again, it's about control, surveillance, chaos, who's in charge, why is no one in charge, what are we going to do about it, and what is a writer's responsibility in this time. So, plus he's really hot and he has lots of sex and lots of people follow him around and like him a lot. So there's that too.
So, speaking of lots of sex, when I was at my mom's wedding,
I don't think I want.
That's the ceremony.
I don't think
Keep going, keep going.
I don't think I want to hear the end of the sentence.
so the people who came have known me since I was born. You know, there are people in the audience that have known me through every chapter of my life, through every decade. And one of them looked at me and said, and she's almost as old as my mom was 81. She's almost that same age. She said, "Why do you look like this? Why do you look so good?" I was like, "I have a lot of sex, as much as possible." And women in the back row were like, "Yeah!" So yeah, it's very
Good for
important.
you.
You should. I was talking to somebody yesterday, Yvette, who wants to come back on the show again. She was telling me, you know, Leah, as I'm closing in on 50, as we're aging up, we have to remember that we've got to balance those hormones, and sex is a hormone balancer. In the end, because you do have in our brains, we do actually have glands that help us with our hormones as well. So yeah, we've got to keep pushing that muscle.
I like
too.
aging up. I think we should level up instead of getting older. We're leveling up.
Yeah.
It's like a video game.
You know, it's a privilege. It's a privilege. Every freaking
is a
birthday is a
privilege.
damn privilege,
It
and
is a
I'm
privilege.
happy to have every single one of them, and to be able to feel it and love it, and to run in this world with creatives like you guys, because all of you are just awesome people. Love being with you. Getting ready for this today, I was like, I need some heavy metal, some good music. So I was listening to War Pigs, Black Sabbath War Pigs on the way in. It just made me feel like I was in kind of a fishbowl, you know, as everybody was, because I had it loud. And then I just really did not
I've been
give a
listening
shit.
to the Office Space soundtrack.
What?
It's all rap.
You're hysterical. Whatever makes you happy. If that gets you up and moving in the morning,
Yeah.
then play it loud. Have a
Damn,
good
it feels
time with
good to be a gangsta.
That's what Cornelius is doing with the music in our show is, again, you can just come and dance and listen to it. But if you listen to the songs that he's chosen and you listen to the lyrics, they are all saying something.
It's another story.
It is a whole nother level of the story. That's what we're trying to do with everything, is give you as much as possible. And the music is speaking to you as well as speaking to your booty.
I don't know how we can't go. Right?
Agreed.
We should go. We should go. We should
Come.
go. All right. So, with our last, Jess, what have we got? 3 minutes.
1
1
minute.
1 minute.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, we have
You can go 3.
Tom Smith's
Let's.
crackers.
We've got crackers that we talked
You
about
can
at
go 3.
Christmas. We can go 3. Okay.
Okay, so
Nick, bring
Nick,
out the crackers.
Oh.
This is
okay.
and the box is from Tom Smith, who is, I believe, Nick told us over the holidays.
This is who the queen gets her
This
crackers
is the queen.
from.
This is where she gets her crackers.
Are you familiar with crackers?
I am.
I
Yeah.
was not, and I'm.
You can even
I'm really.
see her. Hang on.
They are not
Just open them.
saltines.
There you go.
The
You
other
can
kind
even
of
see
crackers.
her little seal. So whenever the palace need. Oh, good God.
Oh, is this what's on the
thing
top there?
open?
That
Yeah,
part?
there we go. And it just says by appointment. Everyone
Okay.
take a cracker.
Cracker purveyor
Pass
to
them
the
down.
queen.
Thank you.
Pass them down.
So
All right, what are
Tom
we supposed
Smith's
to do?
crackers.
Okay. Oh,
All right.
yes.
So
Should we
these
do
are our
this like
crackers.
below the mic?
Yeah, we could. Yeah, I would do it. Well,
Not right at the mic?
not right at the mic because there's a
we
little
turn-
explosive.
They're a little loud.
So what do you do? Tear them for both ends?
You pull, right?
Pop. And inside,
Did it
oh
crack?
wow,
I guess it did.
yes,
Did
it
a
definitely
thing.
is explosives. Inside there should be a little thing, a little joke, a little crown.
Oh,
Everybody gets a crown. Now these ones are all, yeah.
Oh, I got something
That's a
interesting.
common
Oh.
thing.
what does a frog do when his car breaks down?
Oh, hell yeah. Look, I can make a little.
Anyone?
I don't know.
He gets it towed away.
Oh,
Bad.
All right, I like it. What is
Yeah.
a woman's favorite? Oh shit! What does it say? What is a favorite fruit? What is a vampire's favorite fruit? Much better. A blood orange.
Aha!
Woman, vampire,
Whatever.
Can't read.
vampire woman.
Why did the man get fired from the orange juice factory?
I don't know.
Because he couldn't concentrate.
I got a little game. Did anybody get a game?
I got
Yeah.
I got magic tricks.
You got magic tricks, which are like a traditional thing, which is basically just bent bits of metal
Yeah.
that always turn up in these things. For some reason.
Go.
I got a little
So
bowling.
it's sort of like what you would
game.
find in a Cracker Jack box, and maybe
Basically.
maybe that's why Cracker
Cracker
Jack.
Jack.
I
is
believe
that.
that might actually
And
be
you
I
know-
always
origin.
wondered why.
We all
They're
got a little
thieves.
crown.
I've got a little crown.
too.
Yeah.
Oh, is
yeah.
that what it is?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a
Should we
little
just
crown.
use this?
I know, right? So we feel free to wear them to Glitter King.
They're really
They
little.
can wear a little paper crown.
They are tiny little
Oh, we could go get
tissue
tiaras.
paper.
We could go get tiaras
Oh,
from,
you totally could. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
from
so,
the Peacock Room. She's got tiaras.
so there you go.
can make- we can make our own
everyone's
tiaras.
wonderful
Take measure from
experience of
Mortimer
the of the great traditional Christmas thing.
Keep Kathy's info for your idea for tits and tiaras.
I want to do a thing called Tits and
She
Tiaras.
could do a production for us.
Oh,
Wait, we
tits
should
and
probably
tiaras,
say
yes.
goodbye.
We should probably
before
say
Well, that's a great
goodbye.
note to end on, though.
Yeah, tits and
Tits
tiaras.
and tiaras. Yep.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year. Ding, ding, ding.
Bye.
Bye. Vomit spots are taking us out.